Welcome back to our channel, my dear children. Hope all of you are fine. And in yesterday's episode, we saw that Vivekananda sat on the rocks in Kanyakumari and he wanted to find a remedy for the struggles of his people in India. And so a thought struck him and he wanted to go abroad and preach about the culture and philosophies of Indian religion. So he fixed his mind to go on a trip to foreign countries. And now let us see what he did. Swami Vivekananda came from Kanyakumari through Madurai and Rameshwaram, reached Chennai, and there the youth were very much attracted towards his preaching, and he had many sishyas, and all of them wanted to send him to America, and so they collected amount and gave it to Swami. But Swami told, "No, I have not yet got the permission of my Guru, and so you can use this money for some charitable purpose." So saying, the Swami asked the youth to use the amount for some other cause. But after some days, while he was sleeping, one day he saw a very great vision, and that was Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was seen, and he was near the seas and he was walking on the waters and he was showing a direction across the seas to the other side. And so Ramakrishna thought that his Guru was asking him to go abroad over the seas to the western side. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the Guru of Vivekananda, had given his consent to Swami Vivekananda. So Swamiji wanted to go to America as he got the permission of his Guru. Now, in Chicago, there was going to be a parliament of world religions. So Swamiji wanted to participate in that. Yes, he also wrote a letter to Sarada Mata asking her to give him permission, and he also was getting ready. So at that time, in 1893, May 31st, there was a ship starting from Bombay harbor, and Swamiji boarded the ship. So at that time, there were no planes, so aeroplanes were not available, and all the travel was through ships. Now, the ship which started from Bombay harbor, while it was going, it had to stop in China, Hong Kong, China, Japan, and finally went to, it went to the place where he wanted to go. While on his journey, wherever the Swami was seen, Swamiji had an interaction with the people of those countries, and so he knew their how their education was, how the people of Japan were, how their art and crafts were, and seeing all those, Swami Vivekananda thought he should develop all these in our country. We have to learn so many things from them. And finally, the ship came to the western country, Vancouver. So it stopped there. Swamiji got down in Vancouver and he started his train journey from there to Chicago. So at that time, there was a great exhibition, and Swamiji wanted to go for the Parliament of the World's Religions. He wanted to make a speech, and that was after 2 months. There was time, 2 months' time for the Parliament of the World's Religions. And so Swamiji went to all the places where the meetings were going to happen, and he asked them where it was. As he did not know the place, he went in all the streets he used to go. He used to walk in all the streets and finally went to the function hall and asked them to register his name. But the people, the manager of the hall said that before 2 months, all the names were registered and it was over. No one can be joined now for giving the speeches. Swamiji did not know what to do. He had to return to India or he had to stay there. If he wanted to stay there, he should have money, but that was what he did not have. Swamiji did not have money. So he thought of staying in Boston as it would be cheap there. And so Swamiji stayed with some friends. And as the Parliament was going to start in 2 days, he did not have an entry and he did not know what to do. So, as he had made friends with a professor gave him a letter to go and speak in the Parliament. But what to do, sometimes fate plays a big role, as he lost the letter given by the professor. He did not know what to do. It was very cold there and he felt hungry, but he did not have money to eat, or he did not have a letter to go and speak in the meeting. So when he went to the railway station, he stayed in the goods wagon for the night, and in the morning he wanted to go to the meeting, but next day he had to reach that. But at that time, Swami Vivekananda did not know that a person who did not have even a penny to eat was going to be found, recognized, and treated like a king the next day itself. But for that day, he was in a terrible situation. So, what to do? The next day, Swamiji went from the railway station. He did not have money, so he was hungry. What he could do? It was a formality that the sannyasis went for bhikshatan. So Swamiji thought, I must go and beg. So he thought of begging. So that was the final situation, and that was what he had to do, as he had no money and he had nothing to eat. While roaming in the streets of Chicago, he went through the streets. He did not know where. He could not book a cab. He did not know where it was, so he was roaming in the streets. And when he came to a big street, he fell down, and after some time, a lady from a house came to him and asked him, have you come to speak or to participate in the Parliament of the world's religions? Swamiji said, yes. Then the lady, who was very kind and helpful, asked him to come into their house. And she was very happy. She gave Swamiji food to eat, and Swamiji was very, very, very thankful to God, and he wondered why God made all these to happen. And when Swamiji got the help of the lady, she was Mrs. Hale, and her husband George Hale were very helpful, and finally they became good friends of Swamiji ever after. They had 2 girls. Their daughters also felt that Swamiji was like their brother. Hale family was very helpful to Swamiji, and they took him to the hall, and they wrote a letter from a professor. They got a letter written, and they took him to the hall, and the permission for Swamiji's speech was given. And now, children, let us see how Swami Vivekananda made a speech. He got the chance finally to speak in the meeting. And do you know, in 1893, September 11th, the hall of Columbus was a very big meeting hall, and the world's religious parliament started there. So many people were speaking. So many Americans were sitting. Number of people from different countries in different attire spoke in the meeting. At first, Swamiji was very afraid. He had the fear. Not before had he seen such a big gathering, and he had never spoken in such a big meeting. So every time he was asked to get up and talk, he said, I will talk later, I will talk later. And finally, there was situation that he had to talk. My dear children, I can imagine you people when you don't know or when you are afraid to talk in the schools in any Independence Day or Republic Day meetings. You say, I will speak later. It was the same situation with the great Swami Vivekananda. So finally, Swami Vivekananda was before the mic and he started the speech saying, my respected American brothers and sisters. So there was a big round of applause for the starting of his. As Indians, we are always in our speech or our relationship with the entire world, we feel everyone as our brothers and sisters. And so when Swami started the speech saying, brothers and sisters of America, everybody was happy and they gave him a very big round of applause. They cheered him and it sustained for some time. And when the Swamiji started talking about the philosophies of Vedanta and yoga, everyone was attracted. He spoke very nicely. So many delegates were there. And you know the attire of Swami Vivekananda, his dress, his was unique, and everybody looked up at him as some divine. The speech he gave was being attracted. His speech in Chicago was very famous, and everybody knew about the Swamiji who came from India, and everybody wanted to see him. So the people came to see him. The Americans wished to see him. So Swamiji went from place to place at their invitation, and he spoke in many meetings, and everybody was fond of Swamiji. So once when Swamiji was in America, he found a few boys who were trying to shoot, and they were not able to shoot. And when Swamiji took the gun from the American boys, he thought for a while, concentrated, and then he shot the 12 eggshells which they kept floating on the water, and he shot them at a stretch. And the boys asked him, how could you do this? Then Swamiji said that it is all in our hands. We have to concentrate first. If we concentrate on anything, we can accomplish any great deed. or we can do any work, any job, we can be satisfied, or we can be satisfied with the job we did. Only concentration. It is in our hands to concentrate on a particular thing we are doing. And so the Americans were happy, and they became, so many youth became, yes, the disciples of Swami Vivekananda. And do you know, children, the Swamiji showed them how our Indian culture was. He taught them about our yoga. He taught them our philosophies of Vedanta. And finally, Swamiji had many friends. He went to England, and there he was given a warm welcome. Everybody was very happy to see the Swamiji, and he made many speeches there. So he had found a sister named Nivedita. She was Margaret Noble, and she was called Nivedita in India. And Swamiji was very happy in her friendship. And Nivedita started a school for the girls, yes, in India, in Calcutta. And she was in India. She served for the people of India. Swamiji had many disciples in India as well as everywhere abroad. So Swamiji wanted to come to India. He wanted to come to India, and so let us see what Swamiji did and how he returned back to India. So children, with this I end my episode. So just see, children, how the Swamiji, born as Bilay to his parents, see the phases in his life. See the one day before he had no money, and the next day he had the worldwide fame. So children, any person with a strong and firm decision can do anything. You should concentrate in your studies. If you concentrate in any work you do, you will definitely be the winner. So